We're
Not even kidding.
Okay,
Well,
all right.
let me know if
Especially
we're live on
downtown.
YouTube.
Okay, well, not yet.
All right, everybody brace themselves.
Everybody
go
on your
live.
best behavior.
Always been in Knoxville. Probably there.
I know the Fibonacci sequence, but I'm talking about
Oh,
what this company
well,
called
oh.
Fibonacci.
Oh, gotcha.
So.
I asked.
I thought that
Fibonacci / Hempwood. I want to know what Fibonacci is. Is that a company of his?
Here we go. We're live.
I wanna donate.
Okay.
Okay, did a 17-year-old just create nuclear fusion? Does it really take two hands to handle a Burger King Whopper? And what in the world is a Swift Walker? Well, tonight we're going to be discussing these very strange topics and more in your May edition of Inventor Friday. Thank you all for being here. I'm Don Skaggs, your host, chief cook and bottle washer around here. And I have just some really great guests. We have just had a lot of pre-show fun that I would have loved to tell you about, but I don't want to get thrown off of YouTube. So, but before I introduce the guest, let me talk just for a moment about our sponsor. I know people love talking about sponsors. Well, we have one, and our sponsor is, wait for it, there we go, Kinetic Business. You know, if you're on the internet, or if you need to be, if you're not on the internet, you ought to be on the internet. Well, you're on the internet now because you're watching, but I mean interacting on the internet. If you're in business and you're not interacting on the internet, on different things like that, that's like not being on. I'm getting an echo. You know, these technical issues always come up right when we're doing this. But anyway, not engaging on the internet as a business is like not having your name in the phone book in the 20th century. So you definitely need good internet, because you need to be able to interact with folks. Well, that's what we did. We have a gig of fiber internet here, and that's and the good people at did that work? Nope, it did not work.
it's this
Am I coming out of that?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, guys. Yeah, we're as usual. Technical gremlins always rear their head. So anyway, you definitely want to check out Windstream Kinetic. They have been so kind as to sponsor us with providing us with 1 gig fiber internet. So you definitely check them out. And then also, you definitely want to check out, while you're on the internet, speaking of being on the internet, you want to check out our website, kyinventors.org. And we have a lot of different things going on. We have events. We do 3 things at least online every month, sometimes more. A lot of really interesting programs that we can help you out with. If you're not connected, if you're not getting event announcements, things like that, then you need to go to our website, kyinventors.org, and sign up. Sign up on our newsletter and become part of join our mission and help us make changes to the inventor entrepreneur community that we do. So we're working on a echo issue, but we're trying to get around that. Also, if you are in Kentucky and you're in a rural area and you're a business, you're a startup, you're an inventor, you're an entrepreneur, you've got an idea for a great product or business, then reach out to us. We've got some really great programs going on right now. Either go check us out through our website, or you can check us out by sending us an email at info@kyinventors.org. So definitely join us for that. And with that, I'm going to stop my share. I wonder if sharing kicked something off and made this start to echo.
Yeah, 'cause it wasn't activated.
It was not echoing before, and now it suddenly wants to echo.
I don't know if you can, on this one, if you can mute the output on it or not, and then still keep the input.
But I'll bet Leo's going to find out.
Thing is, yeah.
Yeah, so it does cut the input.
Okay. All right. Well, we will try to work through this issue, but thanks for hanging with us on this. But let me do some introductions. With me tonight, we have Kevin Poole, the man, the myth, the legend.
That's right.
Kevin, tell us all about who you are, what you do, what you're all about.
I'm a cattle farmer. I also raise hay in Winchester, Kentucky. I have a company named Hemp Cattle Company, and I feed a plant called Sun Hemp to cattle to fatten them. Hopefully, I'm gonna be putting meat in vending machines very soon. And I like to make a little comment about the guy who's pushing the internet with echo tech problems. It's like going full circle here.
I think we just fixed our
I
problem.
think you did good. I'm proud of you.
That was coming from the computer stuff.
Also with us tonight is Chris Whitler. Chris, tell us all about yourself.
I am Chris Whitler. I run Lexington Makerspace, which is a place that you can be able to pay a monthly fee and you get access to over 374 grand worth of equipment, anything that you can't house in your house. I also run Lex Fiber LLC, where we have been leading the industry locally, doing either from custom cuts, inventing cuts, or also doing cuts for bigger manufacturers. We've done some stuff for a couple of rocket companies. We've done stuff for some satellite manufacturers, and now we're working more locally with the commercial industry.
Cool. Also with us tonight is handsome, ransom Davenport. It's stuck.
So I am a second generation electrician. My father was an electrician. I learned the trade from him. I've done everything, you name it. I've done everything in the electrical field. I've settled on the residential. It's really my sweet spot. And that, matter of fact, is what has inspired me to come up with a better process of installing paddle hands. Because for anybody out there, been on your experience, 45 minutes, hour, some people maybe 3 hours to
Some more.
install, but the idea is to create where this paddle fan will be able to be put in, or ceiling fan. Some people like, what's a paddle fan? It's a ceiling fan to be put in 10, 15, 20 minutes, which will make it much better for electricians, handymen, but also too, it'll make it really DIYers will love it because everyone will be able to do it. No longer, when you buy a ceiling fan at Lowe's or something that pops up, do you want installation for 200 plus? Well, my hope is to make that a thing of the past.
Oh, cool. Also with us tonight is Leo York.
Hey, co-host, copywriter, and minding the stream.
All right. And last but absolutely not the least is the person changing the cameras and making everything work right around here. And that's Eugenia Kelly. Eugenia, tell everybody about yourself.
Good evening. Thank you for having me, John and Leo. I'm the parking lot attendant. I will say that I think we're in for a lively show this evening.
Yes, we are. I believe so.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Okay, well, let's get right into it, shall we? First item on the agenda tonight is we're going to crank up that Wayback Machine and look at some innovations in history. And I think I've just figured out what's going on. There we go. When I'm switching this and sharing screen, it's popping up my volume.
The audio. Okay.
That's what's going on. All right. So first item tonight is the first bicycle. Well, if you want to call it a bicycle, this is May 19th, or I'm sorry, May 22nd, 1819. The first bicycles, called Swift Walkers, are introduced to the U.S. in New York City. And no, this is not a child's drawing. This is actually from a letter I think somebody wrote, or some a very, very old document, like, I guess what would that have been? 206 years ago, 1819. So they actually drew this thing. But it's very interesting. It was from a letter where this guy was writing to his sister about this new machine for walking. and included the above sketch. He was a professor of at Yale College and expressed whether ladies would be able to use the velocipede. I guess I'm pronouncing that right. Sounds like a bug to me. Scamper across the country, but actually kind of became quite a thing. Carl Dreas had invented the first steerable velocipede in 1817, patent the following year. He first used the term velocipede. Again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah, you got it.
Think I got it? Which is French translations for his advertising from the Latin swift and foot. And it remained the most common term for these types of conveyances until bicycle kind of picked up in the 1860s. Now there is
Such a steampunk name for it, but
that is kind of a steampunk name, isn't it?
What about the bicycle with the, you always see like the old photos with the gigantic
big front wheel.
Oh,
Is
that came
before?
later. I think that came later.
That
No,
came later?
Yeah.
They
This
didn't
one-
think that this was the good idea first?
Yeah, this was
Well,
the
wait till you see how you Fred Flintstone to get around.
Oh, okay. Because I did just the frame just kind of looked like
Yeah.
you're just rolling around on a hot
let's
dog.
see. There, oh yeah, okay. Here is a picture of the actual thing.
It's basically a saddle,
A
two
horse.
wheels, and a
Oh,
horse.
there's no
Saddle.
pedal next to
Yeah,
Exactly,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. You're definitely powering it like Fred Flintstone.
What if you're going uphill?
I'd say that'd probably be a problem.
Oh man.
But yeah, this looks very Stone Age. Yeah, it was became very popular in Europe. They had writing academies in London. This was like the Peloton of 1890. So yeah, it was very became very popular. Pedestrians became very interested in this new means of transport. Actually, what I really thought was interesting here, here's some different names they had for them. Swift walkers, hobby horses. I didn't know that's where hobby horse came from. Or dandy horses, because they said dandies like to I guess it was
like when you make fun of people on segways now.
yes, exactly.
I
Exactly.
do remember the term.
So the initial fad of velocipedes in New York City didn't last long, and they were soon banned from downtown public spaces, which I can't quite figure that one out. But
I actually do have a follow-up to that.
Yeah?
The reason why jaywalking became illegal was because Henry Ford was like, hey, we're killing a lot of people because people are just walking in the streets. Let's go ahead and ban people from doing that. This could have been the same conception. I don't know when the car was invented,
Yeah.
but it could have been the same conception. Ford was like, hey, look, we keep killing people on these velocipedes. Let's go ahead and make it illegal so that way they can't even ride them around.
you think that they were do you think they were like getting into accidents, or
Ford's the reason for a
getting in the
lot
way?
of traffic laws now. I think
Well, I don't know.
Ralph Nader was another one too.
yeah,
But yeah.
well, yeah.
There was a big anti-bicycle view back in the day because it was associated with like feminism and suffragettes and stuff. So I can also see them being like, oh, these kids in their velocipedes, unraveling.
They hated the skateboard.
I can just see an old man shaking his
Yeah,
fist.
exactly.
They hated cars too. They would ban
My
them in some
lord.
towns.
Yeah.
They said like no cars were allowed in the
We have
town.
fallen down the hole of the worthless knowledge again. I mean, this is gonna be
Yes,
epic
yes,
tonight.
we have. It is.
It is awesome too. It's gonna be so awesome to watch this. It's like the battle of how deep we can go down into conspiracy theories with inventions. It's
Why? The pedals and the sprockets and the chains, that was a conspiracy.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying the invention is a conspiracy, but I'm telling you, like we've already got
Why
to
did
the
they
Henry
ban
Ford.
them?
I think Ralph Nader's been thrown around. Did I hear a Nader in there? I heard a Nader in there.
What was it? The Nader?
This is
Nader
gonna be
Raiders.
so good.
is what they were
Nader's
called.
Raiders.
Yeah, Nader's Raiders was what I think they were called back in the day.
With our guest and it being hemptastic. I mean, we don't if we don't go viral, I don't know how this is a success.
Hemptastic. Hashtag hemptastic.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go. So I don't know. This kind of ran in a wave. It was almost like a fad, and then it sort of ran its course, and then they were kind of, the kind of the thing I don't know. I'm thinking of the when the bicycles, the exercise bikes were hot, and then people just like
now
started.
Peloton,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was going to say what spinning bikes were kind of starting to get popular again in the early 60s or something.
Yeah, yeah.
If I'm correct.
There's
And
always
then they kind of went
fad,
out, they
yeah.
went in.
Hmm.
So, I mean, what do you think?
Those little office trampolines are making a comeback. That's surprising to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Office trampolines
Yeah,
are coming
making
back?
a comeback. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
I
Here we
was,
go again.
they were doing
That was like an 80s thing, wasn't it?
Now it's
Well-
the 2020s thing. Yeah.
So I did hear something about MIT recently. So there's a guy, his name is George Gatewood, runs Longwood Antique Woods. So he got the pleasure of going up to MIT recently. So MIT gets a lot of funding for some weird stuff, right? So they have
Mhm.
something called the Banana Room. And literally,
The
it's
banana
it's a whole room dedicated to just like you have banana smoothies, bananas, you have this, because they consider it a great source of, potassium and all that other stuff.
Oh.
But I think it was a local like fruit company or something that ended up like sponsoring that room. So if you are an MIT student, you do actually have a banana room. And like his son came in there, he goes, "Why? Why is all this here?" And they're just like, "We got it."
Sponsored
they're-
by
they're-
Dole.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's Chiquita or the Banana Republics or any of that stuff, but it is pretty crazy or whatever and stuff. So yeah, I can
I'm
see
gonna
some
play a
kinda weird
different role
stuff.
tonight. I'm gonna try to keep us on track.
If
Greg,
Kevin
I know
Cole is
Greg,
trying to keep us
Greg
on
Wilson
track.
is really doing some great things up there, and I'm gonna try to keep this on track so we can get as much time as we possibly can with him. Most of the time, I try to keep this one going. I keep it going off the rails, but tonight I'm gonna try to keep it on the rails for you, Greg. For you, Greg, a fellow hemp wood, fantastic. It's hemptastic tonight. We're not gonna take it away. We're not gonna talk about the banana room anymore.
Oh gosh. Well, how about segues then?
Those are gone now.
Those are gone.
Yeah, they're all gone.
As a
now.
segue, I mean,
The hoverboard came out and it's gone.
yeah.
well,
Yeah, they're all gone. It's all,
no, there's no segues anywhere.
give it 20 years, it'll be back.
And then it'll come back.
Yep.
So
Everything
yeah.
comes back.
On tape rob a gas station on a hoverboard, and
Did he get away?
he got away, but it would have been a great commercial for the hoverboard. Like it actually made me want one.
Have you seen
Oh, my Lord. We're back to the future here.
You have a problem robbing people and getting away?
Have you tried this? Have you tried the felon board out? It's really great.
Oh.
It has all the serial numbers are scratched out on it. So that's kind of crazy though. I'm wondering if there was a segue
goodness.
robbery. I'll have to. That'll be researched.
Compared to
So what do you think, Ransom? You think they'll think the segue will come back?
We shall see.
We shall see.
Yeah, nothing, we say no, then probably will. So no.
Okay, there you
Here it
go.
comes.
There you
I'm a
go.
prophet.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next one. May 19th, 1896, Edward Acheson issued a patent for an electrical furnace used to produce the hardest industrial substance, carborundum. That doesn't even sound real.
Yeah, it sounds like something from like an anime or something.
I
Yeah.
know. All right, let's pull this up, take a look, because this seems really strange.
It's
So there's
real.
kind of a bio on the guy. Let me make sure we do not. There we go.
It's silicon carbide.
Hmm.
Oh,
Silicone. Oh, did you see the?
Yeah, it
Oh,
looks like bismuth.
here you go. Here it is.
It's very psychedelic
Silicon
looking.
carbide, also known as carborundum, is a hard chemical compound containing silicon and carbon, and a whole lot of really things you can read on Wikipedia later. But it's a super hard substance. Ceramic plates and brakes, bulletproof vests are applications. So very interesting.
Semiconductors too.
Yeah, that's weird.
So wide scale production of this stuff is credited to Edward Atchison in 1891. Atchison was attempting to prepare artificial diamonds when he heated a mixture of clay and powdered carbon in an iron bowl. He called the blue crystals that formed carborundum, believing it to be a new compound of carbon and aluminum similar to corundum.
Weird.
He
Yeah, it
also
looks like business models
synthesized
that-
by
yeah.
several routes. So he really, I guess he didn't even know what he had. But I just thought it was really interesting. Yeah, one of the things I read about this earlier was this was something that was only available in small amounts before.
Looks like it's hard to make.
Yeah, it was very
It's very
well.
hard to make with the power that was
Yeah.
offered back then.
Well, yeah, think about it. You know, 1850s.
He was
Yeah.
with Condon.
So an interesting fact around this, just having been an electrician.
Yep.
The first per se code book was all about safe installations, and you didn't see the first one come out. And I've seen it. I've seen it. Safe practices we still use today. It didn't come out until 1898. So
Really?
you got to think about the infancy. And at that time, there were only certain people that had it. So bonus question for anybody. Who is the person that came up with the electrical system that we have currently today?
It wasn't the wizard in Menlo Park.
Edison. Everybody thinks
It's
that.
not him. He
I
just
mean,
took
yeah,
everyone's
yeah.
idea.
Tesla?
Right.
It was
Tesla with who?
Oh,
That's almost
I-
been
Edison.
forgotten.
know
Edison's
House?
assistant.
Westinghouse.
Westinghouse. Yep.
Great guy, because Edison wanted to do the DC system.
Right.
That's right.
Brian the Mill.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you know, they had it was a huge fight over that.
I don't know.
He
I think
sued
you gotta-
him like
I think you got to give Tesla the credit there. I mean, granted, Westinghouse was the money.
No.
Westinghouse was the money,
100%.
and I know it happens with you got to have the
But-
money. I get
But you
it.
gotta
but-
understand that, Edison screwed Tesla over.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
Tesla
do.
was like, okay,
Yeah.
fine then, I'm gonna go over to Edison, and they changed the world.
yeah.
James
How many
Mulder's
times-
not here because he gets heated into.
Except for your.
Oh, that's right. He would really get
You're
cheered
still
up.
on DC, right?
They
Are they
run
on DC?
240, don't they? But it's a
240
different
versus
frequency.
120. Yeah, it's a little bit different.
So their
Yeah.
240 is different from the 240 here based off the frequency, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, our
Electrician stuff.
60.
Yeah.
60
Falling down another hole. I love it.
Something I know.
It's so.
I'm an expert in the field.
I was gonna say
It's so hard not nerding out.
I can't remember, but it was like over
Might
500
never
times
leave
that
if they
Thomas
just-
Edison
they
had
just
folks
bet it.
coming up for a lawsuit.
Oh, it sounds about
Over
right.
500.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he was like the most curmudgeonly dude ever.
We wouldn't have had videos, like
Yeah.
we wouldn't have had movies if it wasn't for Fox Entertainment and the people that started all the main
And we
networks.
still have
and
those
stuff.
little Nickelodeons. You put a nickel. in.
Yeah, that's what it was called.
Turn the
Everyone was-
crank.
Yeah.
Those were kind of fun though.
They do.
Yeah.
They need to make a comeback with like holograms.
Yeah. Oh, that would work.
Give it time.
Give
Yeah.
it time. They'll be back with the segue. So
Honest
this
way.
carborundum, I'm going to learn to say this. You think there's any uses for this stuff?
It seems
It's
like
not
there's a
public.
lot. Yeah.
I would
Brake
kind of think
pads sound
so.
Like it.
Brake pads,
Yeah.
or they're already.
That's what it looks
I
like. I
guess
mean, it
that-
makes dust though, when it, you know what I'm saying? So it has to
Mhm.
be
Yeah.
similar. I mean,
Well, the dust is
stared at it.
used to abrade stuff too. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty versatile.
We've been recently moving into like magnesium brake pads recently and stuff, but that's for the very high end performance. Like if you want to spend 70 grand on a car, by all means go for it. But as far as like their lower stuff, silicon carbide is used in brake pads for like something like getting the silver platinum package or whatever over at AutoZone for brake
Oh, wow.
pads because they got the
Weird.
regular, then the silver and the gold. It could be used. I mean, it's used in semiconductors. So think about how many iPhones are on this planet. How many of them are using silicon carbide
Well,
semiconductors? And they're like companies like Xilinx. How much do they end up obtaining?
So in other words, we wouldn't even be streaming if it wasn't for this dude.
Right.
Yeah.
so the one no one knows about or knows the name of his product, carborundum. Say that 3 times fast.
Chemical attack at high temperature.
That's the other thing. I think originally they kind of had a material like this, but it was so rare you couldn't use it for anything. So he found a way, let's figure out a way to mass produce this. Now that's the really cool thing, I think, is because now, maybe there's other things that maybe are like, oh, it's so rare, we have to mine this, and it's like, oh yeah, well now we make that. It's like that old Twilight Zone episode where the guys go to sleep for 100 years because they stole this big bunch of gold,
Right.
and then they think it, and they're fighting with each other and dying in the desert and everything, and then they finally come across somebody, and he says, "Oh, didn't gold used to be worth something?"
That was
and
on Facebook just the other day.
and they said, sure," until they found a way to manufacture the stuff,
Right.
and he just tosses it aside. So I just wonder if there's anything else like that out there.
I'm sure.
It's used in Diablo saws. So pretty much anytime you buy a saw blade now,
Really?
it's got carbide teeth. So I'm guessing it's silicone carbide teeth.
Hmm.
So think about every table saw, every track saw, every compound saw, anything that's going to have a blade that's not in big industrial like sawmills or wood misers and stuff. They're using this stuff on there. That's crazy. Oh, and you can buy it, and it's for 3D metal printing too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you can actually do stuff with it as far as like 3D printing.
You can 3D print carborundum.
That's
Well, they don't call it.
I was
that.
gonna say they use the term SLS printing, which is pretty much a laser's hitting it in its powder form and it's
Mhm.
raising and shaking the bed,
Mhm.
and it's pretty much drawing it based off of like sliced layers. That's how
Yep.
SLS printing has happened until they recently got actual molten extraction 3D printers.
Wow.
So that's kind of cool.
That is wild. All right, let's move on to the last thing here, and this is going to be taking a left turn from carborundum. And I've got to mute myself again. Sorry, guys. So this one is all about the Barbie doll. So, Ruth Handler, the inventor of the Barbie doll. So
Got a lot of love lately with
she
that
invented the Barbie doll, co-founder of Mattel. And it was registered May 9th, 1958. And she actually named it after her daughter who was called Barbara.
You got like a tab over. There we go.
Oh, there we go. There we go. So I thought this was kind of interesting because I didn't know this about Mattel. I thought, well, there's this. Anytime I hear the word Mattel, I think of this large toy manufacturing, huge conglomerate. Well, back in 1945, Harold Matson and Elliot Handler created their first products in a garage workshop in 1945. So this started in a garage. Their business name was Mattel, was a combination of the letters of their last and first names. So Matson and yes, I don't know.
Elliot Handler and
Elliot. Okay, Matt and Elliot. Okay. So their first products were picture frames, and they eventually started making furniture from the picture frame scraps for making doll houses, and it proved to be a success. They switched to making solely toys. And from then their first big seller was something called the Yukadoodle, a toy ukulele that was the first in line of musical toys. I like the name, don't you? Yukadoodle.
It sounds like one of those designer dog breeds.
Yes, I have a Yukadoodle
They
at
did the
home.
Magic 8-Ball too.
Weird.
Did they do
Yeah,
that?
they did the Magic 8-Ball, but they really got their big business was through the Mickey Mouse Club with Disney.
Yep, absolutely. Mickey Mouse Club products was where they got their big break.
I'll try to keep this PG, but like Barbie was inspired. There was this doll back in the day called Build Lily, and there was this German cartoon called Build, and it was this bimbo-like character, kind of Betsy Boop-like.
Yeah.
And so they made dolls of her, but they sold her like, pipe stores, adult themed stores. It's like,
Really?
yeah, it's like, you're having a bachelor party. Here's little Bill Lily here.
Oh my
It
goodness.
was kind of like before Mickey Mouse, the cartoon world. We were
Oh,
reading that the
yeah,
other day. The
yeah.
cartoon world
It
was
was
out of
different.
control.
Yeah.
So they were selling these, but they weren't really
They weren't made for
They
kids
were not
at
made for
all,
kids.
yeah. So
Wow.
Mattel really took a pivot. They were like, hey, this skeevy German thing, maybe we can make this kind of like an innocent. So, yeah.
Well, now the official story says that her daughter was playing paper dolls, and so she was thinking about, hey, let's try. But I can see the well,
If you look at Bill Lily and you look at Barbie next to each other, you're like, I see.
There-
okay.
There's similarities and stuff to it.
So I wonder if this is like Walt Disney. This is my favorite story from Walt Disney.
Okay.
So Walt Disney came up with the idea for Disney World because he was sitting in a park. His daughters were riding a merry-go-round in this park, and he was thinking about because all the carnivals are the things that were kind of normal and popular in that day were very just kind of sketchy, we'd call it today.
Sure.
They were, think of your carnival
I
barkers
was
and
thinking,
your
growing up in a small town, when the circus was in town, it was always like the ricketiest
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. So you've got all this questionable stuff going on, and it's very, very P.T. Barnum. Let's see. And it kind of reminds me of my favorite P.T. Barnum story is he used to put in all of his sideshows. You go through the sideshows, and he'd have these signs that see the egress, and it was a arrow pointing this way. Oh, I want to see the egress. So these would like get them to hurry till the end. The egress just meant the exit. So
Yeah.
see the egress.
That's funny.
So
I like that.
yeah. So I just wonder if so, and that's what Walt Disney was thinking. He was thinking, all these carnivals are just they're all sketchy, and there's questionable people that show up. And what if we had something that was really super family friendly? That's how he came up with the idea for the theme park. And so I just wonder now if that's what, and that maybe the untold story of Miss Handler. What was her first name?
I'd say
Ruth.
I'd say she wouldn't want to tell that version of it. It's
I'll bet she was.
I
Yeah,
want a
if
bachelor party. And, yeah, trippy.
Oh goodness. So what do you think? You think
I wonder if Disney gets a commission or a royalty or something like that when they said, okay, we'll do this for the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, because Disney was pretty strong about their patent, because look at what happened with Felix the Cat.
Yep.
Then Iwerks, leaving. Don't forget, Ub's the one that made the mouse, not Walt Disney. Iwerks did it. And then he left, and then he came back, and he's the reason why Disney World and Disneyland ended up getting all these attractions. He said, I'm never going to be your animator ever again.
Wow.
But I'm going to do this. And then when he wanted to go back to animation, he formed DreamWorks.
Interesting. So the thing I'm curious about is what do you think motivated them to go from picture frames to toys?
Yeah, like it just kind of felt. Well, it sounds like they were making furniture out of the scraps from the frames, right?
Yeah.
And probably in the forming of the furniture, they realized that they could probably make wooden toys.
Because it was
Yeah.
basically
I'm just guessing here.
I mean, you're making something that's kind of like,
And then,
dollhouse related.
and then next thing you know,
Put in those
you're in the toy business.
Yeah.
You gotta go where the money is.
Following the money.
Yeah.
I mean,
say
there was
follow
a trading card company, and they made X-rated playing cards for Yakuza, like
Yeah.
the gangsters.
I mean,
And then they thought, well, how are we going to sell more cards to people in the 20th century? And they found out, a lot of kids are getting into electronic games, and they decided where they were going to pivot. And the company Nintendo decided we're going to make a gaming system and not X-rated playing cards. So,
Toyota used to.
Nintendo started out with X-rated playing cards. Oh my
for
god.
gangsters. Yeah,
Toyota
gangsters.
used
gangsters.
to do
for
looms.
Yakuza?
They did looms like loom factories to making like all fabrics and stuff.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden they were like, let's go make cars. And now
Wow,
they're actually
weird.
bringing back the looms themselves. So for the hydrogen cell powered cars, all of their cells are used off their old loom technology for the
That's
carbon
weird.
fiber wrapping their hydrogen cells.
Wow.
Another fun fact too, so my grandfather is of the generation, after World War II and all that, just after the period of time. And he told me, he swore him down, I'll never own a Toyota. And I was a kid, and so he grew up on a farm outside of Shelbyville. And with my grandparents around there, and I looked at his oldest tractor one day, and it was a Toyota. It was a Toyota tractor. I was like, what?
Yeah.
So
You
I
think
have to
he
go with
did
that.
he know it was a Toyota, you think? Or
Yeah, and eventually he did own a Toyota, and
Work down.
Toyota made tractors.
Yeah, me neither.
Lamborghini started out with tractors and then went into race cars.
so if you're just pivoting into wherever
You
the
follow wherever there's
Market.
fads now, like, and I'm sure there was fads back in the 40s and the 50s and stuff. They didn't call them fads probably,
yeah.
but it was the new thing. Like I hate to say this, but like when COVID was happening, Bosch was like, well, we make saws, we make this, we make that. Let's make respirators. We're going to get into that.
Oh
now.
yeah.
And they started doing that. I mean, it faulted horribly on them and stuff because they literally had warehouses full of it.
Oh,
But
yeah.
they were like, hey, we're going to do this now. There was companies that were like, hey, we're a wood company. We're going to go into acrylics. Why? Because they're making privacy.
Allie Trutman, the lady that I think I'm saying her name right. Allie, if I'm mispronouncing your name, I apologize. The founder of Wicked Sheets, it's another
Oh.
Kentucky company. She when COVID happened, they changed real quick to make masks. And back when nobody could get masks, nobody could get any kind, so they made these cloth masks and did really well with them, I think. But I think the crux of this is its pivots. And maybe that was it. They were like, okay, well, these picture frames are, maybe they're going all right, maybe they're not. I can't see just burning up the woods and sales over picture frames.
You go where the money goes.
Can I
And
interject one thing?
yeah, go for it.
There's something to said for luck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Sometimes you just get lucky.
You get lucky and then but then you follow the luck. You follow
She's right though. Like 75% of the time, the reason we fall into things, they go, well, how'd you do it? I'm like, I woke up, I had breakfast, and some dude called me and said, you need to come down here. It's a robot factory. And then I was in it.
And the next thing you know, you've got robots.
Yeah.
That is wild. That is just wild. So I think they probably, you're right. Maybe they would have never guessed that.
Especially in that time frame.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. All right. Well, let's move on to fast forward to the current day and age, and let's talk about a 17-year-old student that claims to have created, yes, I'm going to say it, a nuclear reactor. Let me pull this up. We'll show it to you. Go. One extra step I got to do to get to this. There we go. So there's a little bit more about Ruth, but this is the guy. Teenager makes first of its kind invention on quest for unlimited energy, a significant impact on the energy industry. And this is, I'm not even going to try this name. Well, I'm going to have to try this name.
Cesare Mentorini.
Thank you. 17-year-old Italian student at Cardiff Sixth Forms College has become the first person to create a working fusion reactor in a school setting. I'm just imagining science fair and we've like created a black hole or something.
A lot of stainless steel.
Yeah,
It's expensive.
Yeah.
this kind of
Bring
looks
all the
like
materials
a
for this.
3D model, and then this looks like the genuine article right here. But yeah. So he spent 18 months constructing a reactor for his coursework. He achieved plasma in June. I guess that proves that you did it. And later showcased the project at the Cambridge Science Festival. Yes, it was a science fair. And presented his idea. The college was initially concerned about the project
Well, surely not.
Oh, yes. Nothing bad could happen here. Um,
Oh, snap. He used a Raspberry Pi to control it.
really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
There's no e-stop on that.
Oh, here's a little deeper article from Interesting Engineering, which, by the way, is pretty cool little thing to read if you're nerdy like us. So it showcased it. College was initially concerned, which also, but then they said they were after they'd did a full risk assessment, they were supportive. So anyway,
Where do you get the power from to be able to operate it? Like, so we had a nuclear engineer in the makerspace 2 weeks ago, and we were asking him, we were like, how close is the tokamak reactors? Like, how far are we away from that? You know, you hear that a plant's going to be done by 2040 in France.
yeah.
It just beat China. I think it was like 4 minutes or something.
Mm.
He goes, they put in 3 times the amount of energy to be able to power that. He goes, they still haven't figured that part out. Cool. You can do it for 5 minutes. Who cares? That just means that you had a better power grid hooked up to it. I'm wondering how much power was required to be able to create this plasma fusion reaction. It's not something you can just plug a 110 in.
He wasn't really telling, was he? I don't think he was disclosing that part of what how much power had to go into this thing.
That's what I want to know, because when we were asking about like what they're doing with the tokamaks right now, and they're nowhere near the scale of what they're going to be if they actually form a nuclear fusion power plant. He said, first off, there's not enough people to be able to operate it. 2, our electric grid can't be able to handle the surge of power. We would have to completely change every single line in the entire country.
It can't handle the EVs.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
also as well. You'd have to insulate.
I tell everybody in California, it blows my mind to get EVs, but then the power grid couldn't sustain it, so they're telling you can only run them a certain time.
Well, okay. Well, here's the other thing about it. So look at this picture. So number one, what struck me is this is sitting on a stack of books. I'm like, okay, how is this supposed to work? And
Let's just keep
this
on
doesn't
over.
this doesn't look.
Is that like an electrical
Yeah.
on the top?
What?
Sure looks
Yeah,
like
what do you think that
insulated.
is?
That's a giant
Insulated.
spark plug.
Well, yeah, it looks like insulated and then wires are wrapped to it. It's no different than what you see on a high voltage line. It comes in insulation.
So how much? Okay, from electrical perspective, just looking at that, how much power do you think that has to draw?
Too much.
Too much still?
Too much to,
Too much to do what it's supposed to do.
The question is it scalable? But, just like back in the day, electricity was only for the elite. So once some problems get handled around it, potentially, but there's a lot of back end work that will need to happen for that's capable.
So
that's where everyone's like-
scalability is going to be and we've seen a lot of, because we always, we're always covering these different breakthroughs. It's like, wow, this is going to be great. We're all going to have free energy or stuff. And then we're like, well, they can do it in like for 5 seconds or,
But you're gonna have to pay a utility for it. Like no matter what they say. Oh yeah, like there was a guy, a fusion scientist that pointed at a 5-gallon jug and said that can power LA for 2 weeks. That's cool. But on top of the trillions, we're not even in billions anymore. You're in trillions to be able to redo the entire infrastructure of the United States to be able to handle that. That's the utility you're going to pay. You're going to pay the next 40 years of paying off all that stuff. And on top of that, the utility itself. And on top of that, you're not paying a lineman that's making $25 or $40 an hour. You're paying a nuclear scientist that is making over 200 grand, probably even plus more a year, to be able to say, hey, I'm going to give you energy. So what's cheaper in the long run? Having, a bunch of electricians doing it, nuclear fission scientists doing it, or fusion scientists doing it, or trying to run it AI wise or anything. Is that dangerous?
Well, that kind of raises a whole nother point. Why do you think a team? Okay, let's just say for a minute, this guy has come up with something that's not been done before. He's figured out a way to do it in a certain way that has an edge over everything being done now. Let's just say that pretend that for a minute. Why could a teenager do this and not a seasoned scientist.
I have it pulled up. David Hahn, he created, they call him the radioactive Boy Scout.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
made
really?
yeah, he made a
Oh,
Remember that
wow.
kid?
yeah, he made a fission reactor in his backyard. And he was like what, 15 or
Something like that,
16, something like
teenager,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. He's really good Boy Scout. He's got a lot of badges on here, but yeah, no. He did this right out of Commerce Township, Michigan. And he did this in 1994.
Yeah.
Oh my
You
God.
had to like mail in stuff on a magazine to get stuff sent to you. So imagine saying, "Oh, hey, I need stainless 316L full hard, and can you do it at like 2 inches thick, and can it be machined to this specification?"
Where did he even source his like?
That's what I want to
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
Like, I really do want to know. Like he was on a watch list, guaranteed, but
So he bought uranium.
somehow,
There
yeah.
you go.
yeah, so apparently there is the incident of how he got a hold of it. It wasn't uranium, it was something else. I
Did
can't
he-
remember, it
Did
was
he
a
trade?
byproduct.
Oh,
Did
it's
he
probably
trade it from bad guys for
That's
pinball
what,
machines?
That's what I was thinking.
cards?
Yeah.
I know people
Plutonium?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
This sounds like a
1.1
scene from Back to the Future.
1.21 gigawatts.
He apparently he also had extreme exposure to radioactivity and stuff like that.
Well, that's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah. He died at 39, so he didn't live long.
So we just got done talking about Mattel
Mm.
and how we went from frames to toys to a Barbie doll.
Sure.
Okay. Progress happens by pushing forward and doing these things. Our grid might not be set up. We might not be ready to handle it, but you push forward anyway.
Yeah, I'm optimistic.
And you make progress, and then something happens. They invent another doohickey that's able to possibly take nuclear energy and store it and then run it through the existing channels of what we already are set up to do.
I'm excited.
You don't know
about
how the next domino is going to fall. The same way Mattel didn't know that frames were going to become Barbie dolls.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited about what this Cesare kid's gonna do.
It's just,
ultimately.
we don't see the path yet. You know what I'm saying?
Right, but also to bring this, coming back to Westinghouse, so coming back full circle, had several patents because what was the first way we illuminated things?
Argon
Candles?
gas?
It was
It was gas.
It was
Yeah.
gas.
yeah.
That's fine.
So, yeah, gasoline is where the term comes
Yeah.
from. So Westinghouse came up with patents on this for it, but then really pursued electricity because he thought it was safer because exploding lights, all this stuff. But also too, that could be someone in that space is like, I need to do this because it's not as safe or whatever. Like, so he was innovative on both sides for sure. So I think that's what his pursuit and passion was, because people dying from your invention, you're like, I would feel a responsibility, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would. And that kind of goes dovetail back to the whole Edison thing. Edison was the inventor of the electric chair.
Yeah.
And the only reason he came up with the electric chair was to try to prove that Tesla's electricity was dangerous.
Oh yeah.
Larry in our inner circle pointed out in the chat that the kid who made the nuclear reactor, he got his radioactive material, americium, from smoke detectors.
He got charged.
Really?
Yeah, he got charged with larceny over it. Yeah. He obtained americunium. That was what was giving the radioactive effect and stuff. So, and apparently his face and his mugshot, he was covered in blisters and sores and stuff because of
The exposure. Oh my
Whoa.
gosh.
He was taking smoke detectors out of industrial buildings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like basically.
That's who was getting the
basically
radioactive
stealing it,
material.
yeah.
Listen. Okay. That's awesome. I mean, my whole company was based on the fact that I was going to plant industrial hemp inside of sorghum Sudan. I was going to do it so that I could be ahead of everybody else. But meanwhile, while I was trying to source industrial hemp without going through the existing loopholes that were in the business, I found another hemp
That was
legal.
yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And it was really thought to be poisonous to animals. So,
Yeah, that's the
Blisters
crazy
on the
part.
face.
And that's
If
why
you
you're
got
not
what
in
you gotta
jail,
do.
He took a pretty big risk, but yeah,
Understand, that's
he ended up in
cool.
a psychiatric unit based off of like
Oh,
it ate
goodness.
away his brain. He was
Ooh.
dismissed at sentencing. He was sentenced to 90 days in jail again for larceny, and he died at the age of 39,
Oh,
unfortunately. So
Well,
He was probably a genius to the point that he was almost insane.
Yeah.
what was it like Howard Hughes?
yeah.
Yeah, that guy was insane. He was
Yeah.
great. He helped invent the airplane and
Mhm.
stuff like that with whoever the actress
go.
was, not Rennie Campbell. What was her name? Remy LeBeau. There was a actress that worked with
Gambit?
Howard Hughes. No, she was married to a Nazi investor or whatever who like supplied arms and stuff. Then she escaped, became an actress. Then Howard Hughes was like, "You're smart. I'm going to give you a lab." She picks up a book on fish and birds, and then combines that, creates the jet engine, and then she comes up.
The big actress who's an inventor.
Yeah, she was the one that she's the
Beautiful.
I'll have more commercial, or I'll have what she's having commercial. And then she ended up coming up with something for submarines to be able to find out.
You're not talking about Hedy Lamarr.
Hedy Lamarr, that's her
Oh.
name. Yeah, Hedy Lamarr. Okay, yeah, and the reason we have GPS on our phones and everything else like
Yeah,
that,
she
she's
was
the reason for it.
invented
What a
Bluetooth.
flippin'
They put-
cocktail napkin.
They
Was
put
an actress?
yeah, they
Yeah.
put that idea for 30 years in a military bunker, and they were having issues finding submarines, and they go, well, this actress came up with this idea a while back ago. We can use this. And it's the reason you have Google Maps and Apple Maps and all this other
One of the
stuff.
smartest people ever. And look, yeah, I mean, not what you'd expect.
Yeah, like an absolute dynamo. Like Howard
Oh,
Hughes
yeah.
saw how
Yeah,
Howard Hughes went crazy, but she ended up being one of the greatest
incredible.
actresses.
Yeah.
So
Isn't that wild?
and scientists, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
Where does that come from?
he's an alien.
She's an alien.
I would argue she's a female.
Well, there you go.
And that was the thing, is that she was so shrouded and stuff like that in Germany. So once she got here, she was able to expand a lot of her ideas that she had already told her husband, and that could have possibly turned the entire Nazi war effort based off of her ideas and could have changed the tide of the war.
Wow.
Oh, man. All right.
All right. Well, I got one more here, and then we're gonna move on to our featured inventor, because tonight is
fantastic.
Hemptastic.
Right.
So I am so using that later. Burger King has a lawsuit over Whoppers that were smaller than advertised. So let's take a look at this. Move on from really,
Did you
really.
notice the gauge wire that's sitting on top of that positive is not good? Well, look at how small that gauge is. And they're like, let's hook this up to a nuclear fusion reactor. We're gonna use some 16 gauge. Don't worry, we're okay.
It'll be fine.
Nothing could go horribly wrong.
So, all right, Burger King is facing a lawsuit that claims it misleads customers with advertisements that make its Whopper sandwich and other products appear larger than they are. Go figure. 19 customers from 13 states has accused Burger King of materially overstating the size of nearly all their menu items in the store and online ads. Does the Whopper you've had recently look like that? They cited the portrayal of burgers that overflows the buns. The Whoppers appearing 35% less. You know, they had to like do a study on this. Than the actual burger, containing more than double the meat.
This is like every fast food chain.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
you
there's
know,
some
that's
countries
funny
that
that
don't
you
allow
should
how
say
they
that.
do that too,
Yeah.
like how they use glue for the cheese.
This
and
is old
stuff.
news, isn't
This
it?
doesn't make me nearly as much.
No,
Cadbury
actually,
eggs. Yeah.
there was
Because it's too much abuse. Have they gone too far?
Mm.
I
Think
think
Too
about
far with the,
it's the name Whopper.
the
What's the Whopper?
I'm thinking it's
So they did this with, wasn't there another lawsuit? Yeah, there we go. He distinguished the case from a similar lawsuit against McDonald's and Wendy's that a judge dismissed in September 2023.
oh,
So-
double and the double
so-
cheeseburger
It's
thing.
so
probably
they-
Kramer with the coffee.
Yeah,
And
the Starbucks with their ice.
what's Kramer's lawyer?
Oh,
Can't
yeah.
remember how you talk
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. But yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I did look
Well,
it
number
up.
one, do you think they have a case? The last one got thrown out.
They don't have a case.
They don't.
They don't have a
It's
case because it's been going on forever.
It's the same thing with Starbucks and the whole ice thing or whatever that they had to deal with when Starbucks got sued of putting too much ice in. But I
Oh,
did
really?
look this up. You can't. So I was like, can you patent Whopper to a certain size? Like, let's say that it's patented that the Whopper is a 12-ounce patty, for instance. Let's just say it like that or something, right? You can't patent it.
No.
So it's technically open for discussion. That like
Yeah.
the McDouble is different from the double
Although,
cheeseburger at
What
McDonald's.
makes
That's
it?
somebody
Only
did-
one slice of cheese.
You want something, but they also use a different patty. They use,
No.
yeah, they use a different patty now. Yes, they do.
I think we covered one time where there was like two sandwich shops. One of them had a patent on their sandwich.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
like,
the-
can
The
you patent
can,
the?
the can one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was the one.
that was our first show here, actually.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
you were on that
Yeah,
one.
they had one in
Okay.
Michigan and one in Montana, but the one in Montana won or something like that. I still want that sandwich.
By the way, I want them to win the lawsuit. Let's just say that.
Burger King.
But I don't think they're gonna win.
Yeah.
Why do you want them to win?
Because I want the burger to actually look like the Denver.
Yeah.
For once in my life, I want the.
Sell more beef.
If you look at it though, I mean,
Yeah.
half that burger is
What
lettuce
are they
and
making him?
tomato.
What have I said forever? They need to be making
Yeah,
hamburgers.
who likes a Whopper?
Oh,
Yeah,
man, let's go
exactly.
for it now.
That's why the Baconator got invented from Wendy's or whatever and stuff. They're like, you want all that lettuce and tomato? First off, lettuce doesn't taste good. You're there for what do you want the lettuce on a burger for? The
Right.
crunch.
Yeah.
Put potato chips on it.
There you
Be
go.
be an adult.
It makes
it's
me
more delicious
angrier
that
is
way.
Cadbury. Cadbury had their Cadbury eggs, which are awesome, and they started getting smaller, and people started asking like, "Hey, are these smaller?" And Cadbury gaslighted its customers. We're back to gaslight. They were like, "No, you're just getting older. You're just getting bigger." And somebody held on to one from like the 80s or whatever, and was like, "No, I have definitive proof. Cadbury eggs are a lot smaller than they used to be." So that, yeah.
They hung on to one from the 80s, and
Yeah.
I can't even imagine what it
Yeah, yeah.
I can't believe we've gotten this far. Nobody said the word shrinkflation.
That's a good point, yeah.
Well,
Wonder
there's
if they
what
that.
it's
did the
about.
same thing to Peeps.
Oh.
Yeah. You just put them in a microwave, they'll be all
Make
right.
'em
They'll get
bigger.
bigger. It's-
Just put them in the microwave. So, do you think Burger King can turn this into a positive, though?
Yes.
Burger King is
I
on
think-
the ropes.
Really?
Yeah.
How so?
I mean, because who eats there? Like,
I saw
That's
something
every
the other
time I've
day.
walked into one, it
it's
looks.
a ghost town.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
I
think about
saw
a
something the other
McDonald's,
day.
though,
Didn't Burger King do something pretty cool a long time ago where if you ordered from their app in a McDonald's parking lot, was that
You
Burger
got,
King?
yeah, you got a discont or
You got a
something.
discount.
I remember that.
That's
Because we
clever.
did
So I'm
that.
not
There was a McDonald's.
I'm not
across
gonna
the
put
street.
it past Burger King to turn this into a positive, because that actually worked. I think I saw that they
Trippy.
that's how they got people to join their app, and they increased their business incredibly.
Huh.
They can do it like Pepsi did. Remember when Pepsi, they said new Pepsi,
Right,
try out
right,
new
right.
Pepsi, right? And
Oh.
everyone hated it.
You mean
So they're like, oh, that was
Oh,
our
new
new
Coke?
yeah, or new Coke,
New
yeah.
Coke. Yeah,
That was our new Whopper. Let's go back to the classic Whopper. That's how they can spin it around. They throw an extra ounce of meat on there, whatever,
We
one
hashed
extra
this
lettuce
out.
leaf.
We're ahead of them.
We're already beating it.
You're
You're
watching,
so-
do you think they did it on
Unbelievable.
purpose, maybe? Maybe they
That guy's going, God, he
Oh, goodness. So what do you think? You think there's a line between putting your best foot forward with a product versus overplaying your product's image?
That's kind of like Temu.
No.
It's like you order the motorcycle for
Yeah.
$400 and
And it's that
it's
big?
I think Burger King is going to end up losing that because everyone's kind of coming after corporate giants now, and they're kind of, they're kind of winning.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Did I say that was the last one? No, I've got one more.
Eh,
One more. Okay, this one's kind of fun. A boy playing with his mom's phone. This was actually right here in Lexington, Kentucky. Orders
Famous.
70,000 Dum Dum lollipops, and they get delivered to her door. Here,
Here's
let
the
me
photo.
pull.
It's
Yeah, I've
crazy
got,
huge.
this is wild.
I would just go to every bank and just drop off a box and be like, I want a gift card or something.
So a Kentucky woman said her young son was playing with her phone during the weekend, secretly placed an Amazon order for 70,000 Dum Dum lollipops, a total purchase of about $4,200.
Pretty cheap.
Yeah,
Indeed.
well, and said he admitted he placed the order for the suckers.
But she
Each
feels like a real dum-dum.
Come in there.
So Amazon initially agreed to just return 8 of the 30 cases, and then she started attempting to sell it, and she was all over the local news. And then I think she got picked up also nationally, and then they turned around and they agreed to refund the entire purchase. So I'm almost wondering here because this was I don't know if this is where they ordered it, but that's weird. If you hear a weed eater in the background, folks, just don't even pay attention.
It's 25-pound
We have
box.
no idea who's doing that. So this is a 25. This is the largest box I could find. 20. So think of 30 cases of that. But
This might start happening more often.
and here's the
With,
thing.
Alibaba being and people trying
Well,
to
it's
circumvent,
Well, they might.
tariffs and whatnot, and next thing you know, we're gonna end up with dum-dums and boxes and people and.
I
Interesting.
really want some suckers now.
Here's the thing I'm wondering about.
Not
Who do you think ate the cost on this when they refunded the whole thing?
Amazon. Amazon's always going to eat the cost.
Amazon or the vendor through, because this is the vendor. Now again, I don't know if this is the
Is it?
actual
Does it
post.
state that it's a Prime product by any chance?
They didn't give a lot of specifics.
I was going to say if it is, it's coming out of their facility. So once
Yeah.
Amazon takes once it has it's in their facility, they take
Yep.
ownership of it. If I'm correct.
Okay.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Makes me feel less
So
bad.
Amazon's
Well,
gonna
I
eat
don't
it.
feel bad if it's
Yeah.
a large corporation. I would feel bad if it was. If it was like a small little company trying to sell different stuff.
There's good news to it though. I'm probably when I tell everyone this website, I'm so sorry for how much money you're about to spend. So it's I'm not sponsored by them, but it's www.bidfta.com. So typically anytime Amazon gets a return, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's too expensive to even ship it back to their main warehouse. So what they do is they put it on this auction website. And like Julie got like a $300 Sony like turntable for like $32. I got a $3,000 coffee maker for $136.
And their little warehouses are in odd places. I could
Georgetown,
swear
Frankfurt, Cincinnati.
Cynthiana.
There's one in Cynthiana, but you go in with your ticket item and they'll scan it at the end. I got to do this actually. I got a lot of stuff. I got like what's it, that Black Rifle Coffee Company, the energy drinks. I got like 4 cases of it for 38 cents.
Oh, wow.
And I'm going in there. There was one thing that I'm going to admit this was a bad thing for me to do. But there was a guy that outbid me on one thing, and I saw that one thing in the same pallet, and I was like, I'm going to drop this in the center. It's going to take a while for him to find it. I'm just going to really wanted that. I wanted that oil light, and I was like, but I left with the other stuff. But yeah, you can.
This is in a warehouse. You have to be there physically.
Yeah, you have to go there physically to pick it up. And I've seen people get amazing deals. So yeah, pick up Bid FTA.
I've heard about. I think I heard about them about a year ago, and I heard a lot of people raving just like you were. And then I heard this one person said, "Yeah, we bid on a couch. It was a beautiful couch, and we showed up, and only half the couch was there. It was like missing."
You gotta read the fine print.
Yeah.
There's certain codes that states like why was it returned.
Yeah.
And they do find out it's like, oh, it's it's missing this or that. Like that big multi-$1,000 coffee maker.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing it was missing was like the stem off of the steamer. And I was like, who get a milk frother? They're like $40. That's a $1,000 coffee maker.
I wonder if there's just anything creative. Let's say she didn't get refunded. I wonder if there was anything she could have done with it creatively to
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Sell to the bank.
That's Halloween. Every single kid she'd get on the news, get a little popularity. Yeah, literally just have that. I don't know. She'd do some promotion of her Dum Dums to be like, we're gonna give you money to keep doing this. So
yeah,
we'll give you more Dum Dums. You see the light.
Yeah.
You Dum Dum.
Oh, we're back to the we're back to the positive, the Burger King positive.
Did he get grounded?
negative.
Did
I
the
don't
kid get
know.
I think he's
grounded?
too young.
I think he's
No,
like
you're
second
never too
grader.
young to get grounded. I promise you that. There's not a 2-year-old that's ordering that. That's at least a 7-year-old.
Well,
He got grounded.
With that, I want to see if this works. Okay, I gotta play this.
Peter, come take a look at this. Daniel,
Look at this.
what's this? The numbers, they keep getting bigger and bigger.
The clicks are off the charts.
Yeah.
Yoshi, it's Walter. We're back.
I need more trees. More trees? I'll get you more trees.
Hey, take a look at wood pulp.
Everything you got on wood pulp right now.
He really loves that thing.
It's a really good program. by the way,
I love that.
Just to say that, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
Great job.
I love that commercial. Totally love that commercial. That is,
Pretty good.
that I think it just kind of illustrates the whole point. So, all right, well, with that, all right, let's get into,
Yeah, whatever.
Yep.
I'm just gonna
okay. Oh, yeah.
right there. Or spotlight rather.
It's
Spotlight.
hip time.
It is Hemptastic
No,
Friday.
uh,
No.
That's weird.
I know.
You want to entertain
Supposed
us?
to be right.
I'll entertain you.
You can do it.
Wait, there it is. Pin?
No.
No?
Oh,
Remove it all.
yes.
Spotlight.
I know why now.
Okay.
Okay, we're good.
Are we good?
Yeah.
For hemp. We shall have more hemp. Greg, are you warmed up for this? Are you
Oh,
ready
'cause
for
he
this?
doesn't have his video on. Hey, hey, Greg, you ready? There we go.
There we go.
You've been waiting patiently, and I've been trying to keep this
There
on
we
track.
go. All right.
I was listening to you folks and I just
When-
didn't chime
when-
in because I thought I would drag it out longer.
When Kevin Poole is the one that's having to keep us on track,
We're in trouble.
we're in trouble because. All right. Well, Greg, I'm so glad to have you here tonight. Tonight we have with us is the founder or co-founder?
Founder.
Founder of Fibonacci, also known as Hempwood. Is that correct?
Yep, that's it.
And you were in bamboo, or you actually were very heavily involved with bamboo, and now you make this really cool flooring out of hemp right here in Kentucky. So just tell us your story. How'd you get started with all this?
Okay. Well, I'm a serial entrepreneur. So this is my 8th company I've started. I've had 2 that have gone public. I've had 3 that are not still operating. And so this one is my latest venture that is based off of the Fibonacci sequence that I used in an algorithm in college in 2003 to turn fast-growing plant fibers that sequester carbon quickly into a replacement for old-growth forest like oak, hickory, walnut. So it's just basically doing what's right rather than what's profitable and trying to figure it out as I go. So we're right here in Murray, Kentucky. We got 3 factories. We got 24 people in the mills, 19 people growing the hemp in our co-op, and we're the only manufacturers of hempwood in the world with the patents and the trademarks and all the credentials and all that stuff.
Cool. So what drew you to hempwood when and how'd you come up with the idea?
So I wrote an algorithm based on the Fibonacci sequence. The Fibonacci sequence is the most efficient use of space, second most common number in nature. And so all plants sequester carbon according to the Fibonacci sequence. So it takes 1.6 units of carbon to grow 1 unit of cellulose in all plants. So the faster growing plants sequester carbon quicker. And so hemp being one of the fastest growing plants on land, algae is a lot faster, but it grows in water, means that it's pulling carbon quicker. And then I figured out through trial and error and 14 years in the bamboo forest that you can compress it times that same number, or the bamboo at that time, compress all your plant fibers, and that gives you your optimum density, which equals your hardness, your stability, and your fire resistance of the wood. So something that grows fast and pulls carbon quicker, you can compress it together with some adhesive in it, and then you can turn it into a replacement for an old growth forest. Like in our case, we're 20% harder than hickory.
Wow. So you got a lot of advantages over what they would call traditional lumber.
Correct. Yeah. So we are a face grade hardwood, and we compete directly on price and outperform in qualities. So we're 20% harder than hickory. We have class 1 fire rating. We're great for flooring, furniture, and cabinetry because those are something that you would make out of oak or Brazilian cherry or things like that. But we're more dense, which means more hard, more fire resistant.
I love this stuff. This is fantastic. And just the fact that you're making it all right there in Western Kentucky is unbelievable.
Oh, it gets absolutely wild. If you want to hear about the mills here.
Yes.
So I got really sick from formaldehyde in the bamboo. So back in college, I wrote some patents about how to turn bamboo into a log. And went to China, sold my company. We ended up going public. We had 11,000 employees. We had 53 factories. Got really, really big. We did $412 million a year. It was our best year before I left the company. And the Chinese government deemed us to be a monopoly because my boss that had bought our stuff had started suing competitors that were subcontractors and selling a bunch of stuff out the back door. And so he tasked me with trying to find a new raw material going into it. And so we did eucalyptus. And when I signed those patents over, they sent me to Harvard Business School. So I got my credentials there. And then I did the recycled woods, what are smart oak. We set some of those up in Poland and Tasmania and the Ukraine before the Russians came the first time. And then when hemp became legal, I filed some patents because I was getting sick from the formaldehyde in the bamboo, and we developed how to use soy proteins instead of petroleum as the adhesive. Wow. And in developing that and figuring out how to do it in bamboo, because I wasn't the owner anymore, the boss said, hey, it's adding too much cost to it, and we're trying to be a low-cost item. And so they renamed phenol formaldehyde phenolic resin on our safety data sheets. So I left. The company's getting busted up. I'm getting sick. And so I filed some patents on how to make hemp wood and went and did some real estate ventures and got to be a young man, I guess, at that time and go on some adventures. And then when the patents got approved and Kentucky's the best place to grow hemp in the United States, I ended up moving here because Murray State University was the first place to plant legal hemp in the U.S. since World War II. And I saw that on the internet in China, basically the equivalent of Google. Over there, I was just searching where's hemp growing. And at that time, we called it weedwood. There is hemp in China, so I was doing some samples over there. And we had a nanotech lab in Adelaide, Australia, where we actually developed it. And then set up here. And at that time, before 2018, it was only Colorado, Kentucky, Vermont, and Oregon that had legal hemp programs. And you had to partner with a university for research. And so Oregon State, where we developed the soy-based glue, was scared to work with us because they were a land grant university. University of Kentucky was scared to work with us too because they didn't want to lose their federal funding, something that's federally illegal but legal on a state basis. And Murray State said, hold on, you want to create a couple dozen jobs in the community here? Come on down.
Love it. That is fantastic.
Did he say 2018?
That's what I thought.
Okay. Was that on purpose?
What do you mean for 2018?
Did he say for 2018? Is that when, did I hear that right?
In 2008.
2018.
Oh, I thought you said for
Oh,
2018.
yeah, I was like, I
I
thought
thought you
you.
April 20th. I thought you did it on purpose.
You're having a hemp hallucination.
Sorry, my
Kevin.
bad.
I did not. If you want to hear something crazy, though,
I was giving
I
you
did
credit
start
there,
the
baby.
company on Pi Day. So I'm
Really?
literally Phi started
That's
on Pi.
even better.
So
And I
but
love
it's
that.
in my
That
reach.
worked
So
out with-
I'd start new companies. I invent stuff. I invented the breathalyzer that's actually used in police departments right now. Bamboo flooring, bamboo skateboards, eucalyptus flooring, recycled wood flooring, hempwood flooring. So I got 13 patent families that span across the globe. And all of them have their trademarks that go along with them too. And some of them lose, some of them win. That's the way it goes. You got to make sure that you don't get put out on the street if it doesn't work out properly.
Can I ask a question in regards to your previous stuff? You mentioned that you did eucalyptus.
Yeah.
While you state that in Kentucky, it's like the best state to be able to, or in the world to be able to grow hemp in. Well, a eucalyptus grows heavily in Australia, and you did some stuff there. Did you play around with possibly converting eucalyptus fibers into wood, and was it successful?
Yeah, that's how I went to Harvard Business School. So the strand woven eucalyptus patents that I wrote in 2009, when I signed those over to the company that had bought my bamboo stuff, we actually built a $53 million a year business with strand woven eucalyptus you can find in every Lowe's in the United States.
Oh, kidding. Okay.
So it's Eucalyptus grandis. It grows in southern China, and it was planted by the Australians to stop landslides after you get the typhoon or typhoons. Sorry, I think in Chinese, so it's actually helped me slow down a lot to be able to speak to people so they understand because I have to convert. But yeah, we used local raw materials that were plantation grown, 15 years instead of 60 years for an oak tree. You could take that eucalyptus, you could peel it, you could then turn it into a log again, make a solid wood.
That is
So
wild.
you can control globally at this point. You know, you can do hemp in the United States. You don't have to worry about domestic or international orders or anything like that because you can just be able to form, I'm guessing, a business down in Australia for sorts or China or
I see.
somewhere else. So that way you're not having to worry about the import export
Sourcing
and you're
of-
still able to source it and control it locally between different countries. And do you do that? Like, do you have a shop in Australia? Do you carry products there?
Yeah, I got 64 factories that I'm a part of around the world.
That is awesome.
Mainly Asia, Australia, Europe, and the US. In Australia, we're in Tasmania, my favorite place in the world. Caught my personal best rainbow trout down there, 28 inches. They don't get that big here.
Wow, that's good.
Wow. And so, yeah, I have taken this and it's turned it into the locally grown, made, and sold method of kind of like your local farmers market. And you don't make big dollars and it's hard to corporatize and all that stuff, but that's not really what I'm after. We actually set it up so our mills are powered by our waste. So we have a zero waste process that's carbon negative. We set up here in Western Kentucky because we have hydroelectric from Kentucky Dam, which is 19 miles away. I got bio waste thermal energy, and we're putting in a solar farm because the TVA pissed me off and raised the rates of our electricity because they said the source of energy creation increased. And so they gave us a 30% increase in the cost of our electricity. They're trying to tell me that the Tennessee River now costs 30% more. So build my own solar farm.
Yeah. Wow.
What was the before?
What do you think was the hardest part of the whole getting this up and going and started?
Everything. This is actually the worst company I've ever built with the greatest potential. And so we started during the hype in hemp. And luckily I didn't take very competitive money. I didn't take any venture capital. I only used me and my classmates' money and my family and stuff like that. So I didn't get pushed to grow too quickly because it didn't make sense in 2018 and 2019 when people were saying they were going to get rich, but they all went bust. Then the guy that I set this place up with, he died of COVID. And so that was pretty detrimental because it was him and I and a bunch of kids, essentially. We had all interns from Murray State and local guys and stuff like that, but we were the only two kind of like adult figures in your 40s or 50s that were actually had experience in the real world. And so when he passed away, my young guys really stepped up. They earned a piece of ownership in the company, and it's actually run now, the day-to-day production. Tommy was my first intern in 2018. He's now been with us for 7 years. He owns a chunk of the company. He's our plant manager. He's also in charge of our agronomy. Our second intern was Matt McCormick. He's from Murray State Ag School. They were all AGRs in the ag fraternity there. And he runs the flooring mill. And then we got Austin Korn, and he's running the new mill now. He's in charge of our engineering. So he was our fourth intern. So literally it was just building it out of nothing. And luckily this time I've got to keep the majority ownership. And Key Horse Capital has been really good with investing in us. We've had friends and family that have done a lot of stuff with us, but we're not a real sexy tech play. We make physical goods. They'll call it deep tech, or we make stuff.
No.
So we grow it, make it, and sell it. And that means it has a limited profit margin. If you charge more than 30% gross profit margin, you're expensive. If you charge less than 20%, you got a business. And so that's kind of where you play.
What do you think was the thing that helped you the most through it all?
Dean Brannon from Murray State University. So the dean of the ag school was the first one to plant hemp. When the federal government sued me, 5 different agencies have taken me to court. He went to court as my lead witness and said, if you're sitting here when we set up our bioburner systems, the EPA came out and said, oh, hey, you're burning industrial waste out back on the farm. And I said, I'm burning agricultural byproduct. They said, okay, well, you're going to get this fine, and turned into a court case. But they recommended that we get a waste disposal unit, a bioburner, and said, hey, you can apply for grants to do that. So we applied for some grants, and we got approved for the grants. And when they came out to do the final report for what's called a REAP grant, renewable energy in ag practices or ag processing, they said, you're burning a class 1 substance. And so we had to go to court for that. And state of Kentucky, as well as Dean Brannon, were my star witnesses that stood up and said, well, if you're going to send Greg to jail or get him in trouble for saying that he lied on a federal grant application, he's burning a controlled 1 substance, I've got a hemp rope on my farm right now, on my horse farm. So take me with him. And then the head of the ag department for the state of Kentucky stood up and said, hey, me too. And I got some canvas sacks that we have around that are also made out of cannabis. So you might as well take us all away. And so without that, we would have been sued out of business.
Wow. You know, it just points out how important it is to have good, solid people like that in your corner, I think.
I got a question.
Absolutely.
I got a question for you, Greg. Do you feel like in marketing that hemp gets throttled? Does that slow any progress on marketing wise?
Like the stigma.
Yes and no. Number one thing people do when they see our samples is they smell it. And they're like, yeah, I can smell it. And they're actually smelling the soy glue. They're not smelling VOC emissions from formaldehyde in the plywood that you normally get. But they just kind of associate with, oh, hey, hemp's going to smell like that. So that's a negative aspect. All of the intoxicating hemp is definitely a negative aspect to what we do, because we get the spotlight for better or worse. And then all the federal agencies come around, and it's less now, but in the initial stages, we were getting taken to court twice a year because people thought that we were intoxicating hemp. And that's not farming. Growing floral hemp is horticulture. What we do is agriculture. We use 7-inch wide planter, same way you do wheat. million plants an acre. It looks like corn. It's 10 foot tall. And
What about
so
social media? Have you found any problems with getting throttled down on social media at all?
not at all. We're actually a darling on social media. We get about 10 to 20 million views a year between all our different things. And that's because there is the pent up demand for something that was banned for 75 years that now people are seeing and say, hey, that's cool. And the reason we did hempwood, and my wife let us do this, she was actually a TV star in China. And I moved her to West Kentucky to an organic farm in the middle of nowhere. We're able to tap into something that was not there before. And so that allowed us to get patents, trademarks, a brand, because it's not rocket science what we're doing. We're making rectangular logs out of a plant fiber. It just so happens this plant fiber hadn't been used before.
Interesting.
Yep,
Very simple story in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
the name
Kevin has a
hempwood,
very similar.
the name hempwood allows you to, because we created that word, it had never been there before, we could get a trademark on it. So we can have the product, the category, as well as the brand. And so that's the key, because bamboo got huge, over $400 million a year, because people went in looking for bamboo flooring. But the eucalyptus did not get huge, and the smart oak did not get huge, because people went in looking for wood flooring, and you were a subcategory of it. And so if you can own the entire segment by having the brand, the product, and the category, then all of a sudden the idea of creating a $100 million business is actually viable.
Have you had any other competitors in regards to the other fibrous material that you can grow like plants other than eucalyptus and hemp? Have you done research on other fibrous materials that, you might have on the back burner, say this might be used in this application, or this could be used in an underwater application or something like that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a company called Planted that came over here out of North Carolina, and they did a factory tour and pretended to sign an NDA and went and raised $17 million, claiming to make hempwood, until they got the cease and desist letter, and the CEO got fired for it. Now they've switched to miscanthus. There's also folks that make corn board, rice board, there's wheat stalk board, all those things. But what it comes down to is people are trying to make a commodity. I'm trying to make a specialty product. So if you're trying to make, we have a product we call OHB, oriented hemp board, and I can't take the risk to build a $15 million factory to make that product, because I don't think it has legs on it, because it's going to cost more, and it's going to be behind the wall or under the floor or under the roof. So people will only pay more for a designer item, and a new product's never going to be cheaper. I mean, everybody can say, hey, it's got to be cheaper, faster, better. The reality is, you start something new, it costs more, it's a lot slower, and you have to have people that believe in you as your early adapter to get it across the line. So I've seen every other structural panel product fail and go tits up, because they didn't recognize the simple fact that, like we learned with eucalyptus, people weren't really interested in eucalyptus. So you have to find something that creates that demand, and your story has to be real and back it up.
Koala bears are interesting.
Yeah.
They would invest.
Leo, did you have a question for him?
No, I was just gonna say kudos. This is just phenomenal.
Yeah, it's an awesome story. Awesome product.
Everybody give him a hand.
That was a heck of a fight too that he had. It was all uphill battle, dude.
Oh, it still is. We ain't out of the woods yet. We're seeing some black ink. I still got a $3.5 million tax credit from all my losses in the past couple of years. We still have a plethora of problems. I mean, if you're in charge of 24 people's livelihood, then you don't get to sleep too much at night. It's we're still the weird scenario. Like, hempwood is definitely not a suburban residential product. It only gets into your high-end architecture and design and some of your high-end residential. Only 4% of the population, according to our Q1 study, we do a study every year in Q1, 4% of the population has ever heard of hempwood. And so people don't know who we are, but we're starting to get some big wins. Like we're doing Apple stores now, Patagonia stores, BMW stores, Chipotle's,
You should get into
Toyotas.
Morgan cars in Britain. Make the first hempwood Morgan frame because they do use wooden frames. If it's harder than hickory, let's put hempwood into a Morgan to make it more lightweight if you can.
That'd be cool.
That would be kind of cool, not gonna lie.
Car.
We are in dashboards a lot. So we're in
He's
Scout
already in the
Motors.
automotive industry.
Yeah. So here's the crazy part. The automotive industry, so 100% of hempwood in the world is made from our mill. 100% of hemp plastic in the United States is made from our sawdust. And 100% of biochar made from hemp because we power our mills by burning our waste in our bio burners and they spit out biochar. 100% of the biochar in the United States is actually coming from our mill. And we're the only people that are selling hemp carbon credits. So we got only one in the world.
You're a pioneer.
You're fully off the grid. No wonder the government hates you and is trying to sue you. You're pretty
My
much.
house is actually off the grid. So I live on a 171-acre farm that has nothing out there.
That's
got a 243 at the front door to shoot the coyotes that come after my chickens.
I was gonna say, man, you really did. You fully. It's not like one of those people where you hear that they're like, I'm gonna go off the grid, I'm gonna live out in the tent or whatever, and all this other stuff. Like, no, I'm gonna do it right. When I have like 100-something acre farm,
Nice.
and I'm not gonna have an electric bill.
Nice.
Oh yeah, I raise my own cows, chickens, pigs. We got fruits, vegetables. We grow hemp. Like I do have people that come and help us farm, but it's fantastic to we keep the freezer full here at work, and people can buy burger for $5 a pound for grass-fed organic beef finished with apples or pears or blueberries. And our guys in the shop can literally just cook burgers for themselves every day for lunch at half the price of going to McDonald's.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
Like $2-3.
So,
Yeah.
so what do you, what's next for you guys? Anything new you can tell us about or?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we're actually moving into our new factory right now. So we'll be doing a ribbon cutting with one of our politicians, probably Rand Paul. He's our buddy here. Come down and cut the ribbon for us next month. We're having our opening party for that with our crawfish boil that we do every year around Memorial Day. So moving into a new factory, got another 1 million BTU bio burner and that solar farm that are getting set up right now. So that'll take us to the end of the year as far as capital expenditure. We do all of the Warren County public schools as far as flooring goes. That's our biggest customer. And Ivy League universities, because they found that having 0 VOCs in your classroom leads to improved indoor air quality, higher cognitive ability, higher test scores between 6 and 17% by not putting dirty chemicals in the classroom. And so going to schools, universities, government buildings, or tech offices is pretty much where our product goes.
As well.
Wow, that is fantastic. Well, if somebody wanted to, was interested or wanted to get some hemp wood, where's the best place you'd suggest that they go?
Hempwood.com. So
Hempwood.
we're the
Easy
only
enough.
folks in the world. Yeah, we're the only folks in the world making hemp wood. So we own all the social media handles, all of the different stuff.
Nice.
If you look us up on YouTube, you'll see videos that have hundreds of hits, videos that have hundreds of thousands of hits. You'll see on Instagram all types of craziness and Facebook and everything.
Fantastic. All right. Well, Leo, do we have any questions? Any more questions? Any questions from
I got one
folks here?
How did you get the studies done? Did you apply for grants when it came to get the studies done when it came to that healthier, the health, or did that come out of pocket on your own?
No. We get a lot of grants and they never pay for what we actually make here. but they're like for our EPDs and our LCAs and our indoor air qualities. And most of the time, what we have to do is we have to supply material. And then a university has a grant, like Carnegie Mellon right now is doing a bunch of this stuff, or Vanderbilt does a bunch of it. Harvard does a bunch of it. We send material to them, and then they'll do their case studies on it. And then they'll come back. So they've been taking for the last, well, actually since 1970, when the EPA determined that like vinyl chloride that makes vinyl flooring is a cancer causing agent, or formaldehyde is a cancer causing chemical. And so they came up with all the things not to do. And they started studies about what clean air or what clean drinking water or what clean foods actually do for you. And so those studies are all there through the EPA, through NIH. The Harvard Chan School of Medicine is another big one that does the indoor air quality. The Parsons Healthy Materials Lab in New York City does a bunch of it. UT Austin, where LEED for the like green building accreditation came from. We work a lot with UC Berkeley for doing our carbon accounting studies and things like that. Oregon State University and Washington State University. UK does a bunch of stuff with us. Murray State does a bunch of stuff. Purdue. So like all of the schools want to be involved in something new. And if you're an ag tech, then it ticks all the boxes. And so they'll contact us, or their students contact us, and I'll send them a free sample pack if they introduce me to their professor. And then when I speak to their professor, they introduce me to whoever's in charge of facility planning on campus. And then I make a trip to go visit them and say, hey, look, here's the data that shows that having healthy materials inside of your classroom actually lead to a higher performance. And Harvard Business School, where I went, they actually have had since the 90s a zero VOC policy for all natural materials that have to go into their classrooms. So I picked it up there when I was in school. And then I said, hey, let's turn this into a driver of business. And that's where exercise works out for you. That's where clean air works out for you, and not having all the intoxicants, whether it's alcohol or tobacco or whatever, in your system just makes you perform better.
So the systems were somewhat already intact, and then you just got your product. Yeah, okay.
They were already doing the studies, and all I had to do was send them free material to be in the study.
Wow. Nice. Very nice. Any other questions from anyone?
Larry in the inner circle wants to know, do you ever use hemp as a 3D filament?
Ooh.
So yes, our sawdust goes as a biofiller for plastic. So what they do is they compound recycled plastic with hemp sawdust. They create pellets, or they create string. And then those pellets or string are used for either your 3D printing for the strings, or the pellets for your injection or blow molding.
So there's some filaments that I've noticed that, because I do a lot of 3D printing. So there's some filaments where it's got real ceramic material and it's got glow in the dark material that's abrasive against the nozzle. There's TPU, which can be abrasive on the nozzle and things like that. So based off of normal like PLA, PLA, ABS, PETG, all that stuff, TLA, does it have its own acronym based off of its chemical structure, or is it just hemp filament? And then two, is it abrasive on nozzles? And does it have certain working temps? Because you state that it's like 1A fire rated and stuff. Typically, you're pushing out of the filament extraction units anywhere between 212 degrees Celsius up to 250 degrees Celsius.
So it doesn't have its own acronym. When you're going into 3D printing filaments, then you need to use our sander dust, which is only 50 to 100 micron rather than 100 to 200 for our sawdust. And so it actually makes it a finer powder that you're able to use better. It does create a smell when you add that high of a temperature to it. So you have to do some different processing to be able to eliminate the smell. Most of our sawdust is used for making weed packaging. So our plastic made from it.
Right.
It's the only one that had the strong enough bond to be able to get the FDA child-proof lid on cannabis packaging. And that's the only hemp plastic that's actually jumped out into the market because we already have an adhesive inside of there, which bonds to the plastics when they're compounded in it to make the pellets. So you have to watch out for the smell. You also have to watch out for the moisture content. You have to have an inline dryer when they're doing the compounding of our sawdust or sander dust, because equilibrium moisture content in Kentucky is 8, 10, 12%. And whenever you're making plastic, if you have to heat it up that high while you're compounding it, you can have explosions that occur because you're heating up moisture or microwaving or whatever you want to call it. And so you have to make sure that doesn't happen by having an inline dryer before it gets compounded. And you need to have something for the smell. And then it does work properly for a 3D printing.
Wow. Wow. Well, that is fantastic. I think you've got just such a great product. I think just more people need to know about it. And any way we can help promote you or do anything for you in the future, we'd love to be a part.
Well, we need to get people that are close to the city to tell everybody about it or let us know when there's events. Because we won the coolest thing made in Kentucky last year, 2024. Coolest thing made in Kentucky. We got a booth at the state fair and we started a program called Win Kentucky First. And now 3/4 of our business is inside of the Commonwealth. So the more we can plug into folks like you just talking about us and telling people about it, the better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll be happy to be a part of that. So, well, Greg, thank you. I can't thank you enough for taking the time and being our featured inventor and product, and very successful product. And again, if you're looking for anything that if you're looking for anything in that area, check out hempwood.com. Absolutely. Thank you again, Greg. We appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us, and thanks to all our other guests.
Yeah. Any
Ransom and
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Any final thoughts?
Well, I want to hear from Mr. Poole tonight.
Okay.
Give us a summary of tonight's meeting.
Well, Greg was fantastic. I guess I'm a little biased because
Well, just a little.
he's like my hero.
Yeah.
He's so far down the serial entrepreneur path that I hope to maybe one day copy. So watching his path about trademarks and listening to all that, I'm kind of down on the same path that he is. Obviously in the beef industry, it's not like he's reinvented wood, but he actually has. I haven't reinvented beef, but maybe I can.
Yeah.
It's just it's just awesome to watch. And then
Absolutely. How's the vending machine?
good. We got it wrapped the other day. We are running
Just for the people that's not heard before, you have a vending machine that
I'm trying to use a vending machine as a Trojan horse into a unique way of the farming that I do.
so they can buy a steak out of a vending machine and it's fresher than the grocery store.
That's right. So I got a lot of battles to fight. Basically, I have to change the definition of fresh from being frozen. I have to also fight the buying when you buy your steak or burger out of a vending machine. The gas station sushi effect, as my wife likes to so call it. I got to fight that battle, but so far, we're gonna launch. I was hoping to be within a month. I want it to be done quickly last time, but right now we're running the first test this weekend with 500 pounds of burger in the vending machine.
Nice.
Where is the vending machine at?
It's in my shop.
Oh, okay.
I
It's
just
really
got-
good beef. I got to try it.
I just got it wrapped. We have to use chubs. Chubs are the same size as a can of soda. And we ran the modification on that. We had to change the cycles down from 16 hours down to 4 hours on the compressor because the first time we ran it, with 500 pounds of burger in it. The condenser froze up. So we're playing with the cycles. So just like anything, we're having what was frozen with 50 pounds, when you put 500 pounds, it's a different story.
Yeah.
We may have to increase the RH factor on it. But as of now, we're running it test this weekend with 500 pounds and hope it works on the 4-hour intervals. And it should technically. I was told it would work by my HVAC guy. But we had it wrapped by Gene. Came out. He and his buddy Steve came out and wrapped it yesterday. That was super exciting. So we put our stickers on. We got our stickers on, and basically this is now the trial run. We had the other machine that was ready to go, but it's not repeatable. We're taking Dixie Narco 601Es and Dixie Narco 501Es, old Coke machines, aka Pepsi machines, whatever machines that used to sit outside, and they're kind of gone. You don't see them out anymore because everybody wants you to come inside and buy their can of soda for
Like fun.
3 times the amount that it was when it was for 50 cents outside. So so those machines are readily available, and I feel like I'm pitching Greg as he watches right now.
Be careful. My breathalyzer company started as a vending company, and we stopped it because of the mafia.
So basically, we got to cross the bridges. There's even more hurdles to cross. We got to go through the health department, get approval for that. Even though we already have placement in Rural King and stores, Dollar General, places that don't want the liability of having a meat department, but they do sell some like grocery like items, maybe liquor barn eventually. That's our goal. Gas stations, who knows what could happen. I feel like I'm rebooting the entire food industry. Hopefully we'll be setting farmers free to market their beef anywhere they want to and not be a part of the existing oligopoly that exists. I don't know. I think it's a real game changer. I
think so too.
I hope so.
I really do.
And then to hear Greg tonight talk about his journey, it's I'm looking at him. He looks younger than I do, and to be what he's been through, to be all those things. It's kind of like maybe it's not as easy as you think. You know what I'm saying? Obviously
Always
going against the grain, and but to see him have success and have people that came. The story about him talking about the professor at Morehead,
absolutely.
I guess on his journey he had to have, there were people that came along with him on the journey of making hemp wood, and when it came time to be criticized, and he those friendships and that those people that he had vouched in, like Don, who met me in Julietta Market, like my veterinarian Patrick Rister, who's been on this journey the entire time, and somebody's going to have to vouch for you that I'm not going to get, that my cattle aren't high, that my you're not going to test positive on a drug test if you eat my beef. That if you're and I'm not even using the same hemp that Greg is using. I'm just using a brown Indian hemp that's not even in the same family. But I'll have people that won't even talk to me, won't even buy my meat because they think that they're, I'm doing something wrong.
Well, it's some of the best
That's how
beef.
you know you're doing something right.
Maybe.
That's true.
And I will say this. Let me one point. Somebody told me the other day, they were like, I'm not sure you want to put Hemp Cattle Company on the front of your vending machines. And I was like, I thought about that for a long period of time. I believe that the word hemp is becoming more than just the actual plant that it is. I believe hemp is leading to people that will have an open mind, are willing to try something different, that are looking for something healthier. I think it's becoming a word that means more than just the plant that it's associated to, whether it's cannabis sativa or sun hemp like I grow. I believe that it's I don't know, a trigger word that you're willing to try something new. And when somebody was telling me, it's like, I wouldn't put the word hemp on your vending machine. Well, first of all, I'm trying to put meat in vending machines. And the people that I want to try my product are not scared of the word hemp.
Yeah.
So
Right, exactly.
I don't know if I'm right or wrong. We'll find out.
We're going to find out. We're going to support you all the way. If somebody is interested in Hemp Cattle Company, where do they need to go?
Hempcattlecompany.com, where you can read about the plant and the way that I treat my animals more humanely, all on the farm that's located in Winchester. We will be posting on social media as soon as we can about the wherewithals of the first vending machine and how we're going to be there, and where future expansion will be, so that we can start getting it to the public. But I will say this: in the initial run with my vending machines, I've made this decision in the last couple months, probably since the last time I talked to you, Don, is that I'm not just going to feature hemp-fed beef. I believe that you don't destroy something till you have something better. And so that though I do believe that hemp-fed beef is better than corn or soy or grass-fed, I do believe in those products because I once did those things.
Sure.
And so I'm going to feature corn-fed beef in my vending machine. I'm going to feature grass-fed beef in my vending machine. And I'm also going to feature other animals. I have 12 slots on these vending machines to do so. So I'm going to eat up probably about 6 or 7 of my own product. And then the open spots are going to be open for other people's beef, as long as they're providing a quality product and consistently repeat the product process of doing so. And then I'm going to work with other farmers, because if you take on big business, as Greg would know, it needs to be a community that does that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
100%.
If you take the grocery stores out, I'm a threat. But if it's a community of farmers, there's only 3 things you need in life: water, food, and oxygen.
Yep.
And hemp wood.
And hemp. All right. Good deal.
Well, thank you. Hey, something that I would say, I can help you with this. I've been in the vending industry. Watch out, the mafia controls it.
Oh, nice.
Literally.
Really?
You're gonna, yeah. So with our vending breathalyzer machines in New York City and Philadelphia and
One more
Washington,
thing I got to worry about.
yeah, and they want their cut. So, but using the internet, people will order what you're selling. I sell beef too. I raise cows, and people will order it, and you can mail it straight to them as long as you have the proper shipping method.
I'm not against that. The one thing that bothers me about that is the added expense. Meat is becoming more elite, and though I'm not against that, what I'm trying to do is lower beef prices for everyone. And when beef burger is the bottleneck of the beef industry, and if I could sell burger faster than I'm selling the steaks, then I can mail the steaks to everybody at a lower price and not make it elite, and everybody can eat a better product. And I move more animals and more burger in the whole instance. So I'm trying to get rid of the bottleneck with the vending machines. I'm trying to use it as a Trojan horse for notoriety, in order to raise people's eyebrows, and maybe they'll start listening to all the other inventions that I have. But this is kind of a Trojan horse to force my way in, so that people will have to listen to what I have to say. Spoken more than I need to, but
This was great.
Mailing steaks is a better idea, because the value, a $20 a pound steak versus a $5 a pound burger. Big difference.
I've already had VCs want to bring in, and they want me to mail meat around the country. But you're talking about a major expense for people that are already suffering enough that can't order beef already. And
Stay away from VCs. They're bloodsuckers.
I've already met the three of them. They're the worst people on the planet.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get into bed with anybody that doesn't see what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
And that's why I loved hearing your story tonight, because to walk the walk is different. You know, money talks and bullshit hits the bricks, but putting your own money into things, not taking anybody else's money and doing it the right way. That's why I'm so curious about grants. And it sounds like you are an incredible person when it comes to business sense of getting grant money to push your product forward, to find people. That's what I need help with. I need help getting the money out there, meet the right people. It's not just what you have, it's who you know on this journey. And if you want to, I'll ask, but if you can send me any information that you know, people that can help me on this journey,
we'll get you hooked up.
Yeah, please. Thanks, Greg.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Get with Key Horse Capital. They're the cornerstone for investment in startups in the state of Kentucky. And they'll introduce you to their sister organizations like Commonwealth Seed and some of those other folks that they are venture capital, but they are focused on a mission and not going out of business rather than
Greg,
trying
if
to
you
make
know
it
somebody
10x.
there, give them my name.
Yeah, they put $1 million into us.
Thanks.
Nice.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. This was great.
It was so great. Ransom, any final words?
Sorry, what were we talking
Any final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Sure. Always. Well, this has been amazing. So thank you for inviting me into this. And it's really ignited the spur and the need and, intrinsically to do what I'm doing. Because I'm probably in the room, I'm going to be the newest at what I'm trying to do.
That's all right.
We got multi-million-dollar business over here, this, that, and that's okay. And that's what I want to say to anybody out there. No matter what level you're at, it doesn't like, oh my gosh, this guy's got this business that I'm so hard by. No, you're just starting. So go for it, because the only way to fail is to try.
Yeah,
so go
absolutely. All right, Chris, any final thoughts?
Yeah, so as far as the hempwood goes, I am going to be ordering some of that tonight for the makerspace. We're going to play around with it.
Love it.
Well, first off, I just love it because it looks like Damascus steel almost, but it wouldn't. That's what I really love about it. I really like his idea. So I love his idea with hemp. I love the taste of the beef because I got to try that last year, and that by far I've been kind of chasing that dragon for a while. What you offer free delivery, by the way? I did notice that on the website.
That's for halves and wholes. It has to be significant. I'm not supposed to drive.
I don't have the credit card. I don't have the credit card for that. So, but no, honestly, based off this stuff, we're gonna start researching a little bit more into doing hemp and a couple things as far as building projects go.
Nice. And as far as projects are concerned, where do they need to go to find you?
Yeah, you can find us at Lexington Makerspace at lexmake.org. You can also type in local makerspaces. If you do not live in Lexington, you live further out, there's makerspaces all across the country. I got to visit them. They're almost in every major city. And then if you feel like there is one that's too far away, well, get a credit card. It's going to be really expensive to invest in a wood shop. If you also need to have any custom cuts done or anything like metal fabrication or any designing or anything construction wise, you can also find us at Lex Fiber LLC. We're currently right now building our website, and we're going to be pushing that live hopefully by Wednesday. I've been working on that. I had no idea how to build a website. Luckily enough, Julie Betramovich, who does stuff with By the Pixel, she kind of showed me that, and now I can do it. Halfway. Yeah.
If it's a skill, you can learn it. That's absolutely right. All right. Well, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you all for joining us online. Watch for news and announcements if you're on our email list. If you are not, go to kyinventors.org and sign up for that. Our next open meeting is going to be on June the 3rd. You want to stay tuned for that. It's going to be very interesting. And our next Inventor Friday is going to be very special, different, kind of setup, and you definitely don't want to miss that one. That's going to be on June 13th. Thank you all again, and we will see you all at the next video.
Everybody.
Fantastic. Hashtag himstastic.